The goal of this primary writing course is to have some fun with writing while teaching you the basic structure and pieces that go into academic writing. I've broken up the course into a series of videos that will help you with the structure of writing and those different pieces that you need to consider before, during, and after you've written your essay. In order to have some fun with this lesson, let's pick a subject that is near and dear to most students' hearts: video games. I'm going to teach you how to create a video game review. And through video game reviews, we're going to learn something about structure and style of writing. Remember, your job as a writer is to relay your ideas in such a way as the reader understands and continues to be interested in what you have to say. And as we discussed in an earlier video, the first step is knowing who your audience is. Who's going to read your writing? Is it just the teacher who's going to grade it? Knowing your audience allows you to pick the right words to best relay your message as a writer. And it's not just your word choice, but it's how you structure and lay out your paragraphs and sentences on paper. Let's talk about a few different types of writing. What is narrative writing? Well, narrative comes from a Latin word, and Latin was that language spoken by the ancient Romans. And narrative means in Latin, telling a story. That is what you're doing when you're writing a narrative. You're telling a story. You usually write a step-by-step series of connected events. If I were to ask you to tell me what you had for breakfast and your trip to school, you would be telling or writing me a narrative. And it would be totally okay to use words like first, second, or even number some of your steps. You want your reader to follow you through your journey. In school, you'll get assignments with something like, write a narrative about your day. You need to know that is what the teacher, your audience, is asking you for, a step-by-step. What about opinion writing? Your opinion is your own viewpoint about something. It's how you think about it, not how someone else thinks about it. A viewpoint is what a person thinks when they're thinking or talking or writing about someone or something else. So when you're writing an opinion piece or a sentence or a paragraph, you're telling people how you feel, how you think. So what is informational writing? Well, information is facts and details given or learned about someone or something. And the key word here is facts, or actual occurrences, things that happen, or your observations, meaning things that you saw. The word review means to examine something and evaluate it against some sort of list that you created. You know, a list like your likes or dislikes, or rules, or pros and cons. Let's think about the last video game you played. Think about what you liked or disliked. What was difficult? Were there any problems playing it? That is reviewing something. So what type of writing is a video game review? Is it informational? Is it a narrative? Is it opinion writing? Could it have a piece of each one of these within the review? Video game reviews that are published in magazines and online, they tend to be informational with opinion thrown in. I've seen a few that are narrative, like a step-by-step. You need to choose what style you want to write for your first video game review. And it's okay to throw in a bit of all three for this exercise, but you gotta know the difference and try to keep it a little separate. So how do you write a video game review? Step 1, you play the game, and be sure it's age appropriate and ensure your parents are okay with it. So when you're done, you take notes of what you liked and what you didn't like. Try to go over every feature of the game so that you get the highest quality review. Step 2, write an introduction. Write a short introduction about 2 or 3 sentences that sums up the game, but don't spoil it too much. I mean, make it catch the reader's attention. You want them to keep reading your review. Maybe something like this, and I took it from a website called Common Sense Media. On that website, those are reviews for parents, so they know what games are good or not for their kids. Here's how they created their introduction. Parents need to know that Super Mario 3D World is a 3-dimensional adventure game for up to 4 players. It contains mild, cartoonish violence of the sort found in most Mario games, with lots of fireballs and jumping on the heads of fantastical enemies. It promotes social gaming with both cooperative and competitive elements for groups for up to 4 players in the same room, and has plenty of good imaginative play for what will make kids interested in exploring and solving simple puzzles. And it goes on from there. Your introduction isn't going to read the same way because this introduction was created for parents. You're creating an introduction for whomever your readers are. So what's step 3? Step 3 is add your notes. Remember the notes you took after you played the game? You want to write up those notes you took and add to them. After the introduction, the review itself begins. So write, add, and connect the notes after your introduction. Step 4, like and hate. Write the things you really liked and really hated. If you hated or liked something very specific in the game, such as a map or a gameplay feature or some kind of really annoying thing that happened, well, add that as well. That's important for your readers to understand. Step 5, the concepts. You want to include every concept of the game. And the concepts are aspects of it or pieces of it, like the graphics or the music or cinematography elements, like the angles of the shots and the lighting, things like that, the makeup and costumes. That's all part of the cinematics. How about the story and the content and the controls and the gameplay and your very own opinion about each one of those things? Those are all the things you want to add in the body of your story. Step 6, add examples. So write about examples or references from the game back to your argument of what it is you're trying to convince the reader. You want to give the reader an idea of what you're talking about without giving too many spoilers. So feel free to add photos or insert screenshots into your writing if you know how to do that. That kind of adds to the whole body of your story and review. Step 7, write your conclusion or ending paragraph. You want to sum it all up with an ending paragraph, and sum it all up means to write a sentence or two about the whole game that gives the readers the main message and the point you were trying to make. And you can list the pros and cons, and you can even give it a score. So those are the simple steps for writing a simple video game review.